Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is now just 3 months and change away from its official release by director J.J. Abrams, creator George Lucas, Disney, and Lucasfilm, that all plan to end the sequel trilogy and the Skywalker saga itself. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, what's truly exciting about Episode 9 is that we do know that this movie is, of course, going to fill in the gaps in between the originals and the sequels, and that we will be learning more about the characters of Luke, Leia, Snoke, Kylo, Palpatine, you name it, and everything that falls in between Episodes 6 and 7 that's going to be told by J.J. Abrams in this film. So, on top of all this, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this movie, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very intense for Episode 9. Now, specifically, shot descriptions consisting of a sequence where it's explained that both Luke Skywalker and Leia are clashing lightsabers together on a strange world, where Luke is said to be using his green lightsaber, where Leia is using from what's said to be a light blue lightsaber against Luke's. They are both said to appear just as they did in Return of the Jedi, and is said to be a scene that takes place just before the Battle of Jakku. As both Luke and Leia are dueling in a saber match, it's explained that Leia begins to stop and deactivate her saber, where she sits down appearing exhausted. This is where Leia is said to tell Luke for the very first time that she is pregnant with a child, and that she doesn't think she can do this anymore. It's said that once delivering the news to a young Luke sits down with Leia in a similar way that Obi-Wan did with Luke in Episode 6, where Luke is telling her about the Force and the ways of the Jedi, and that the Force and how it will always be with her, where he begins to hug Leia, congratulating her on, of course, her being pregnant with Ben Solo. The sequence is then said to jump to present time, where Leia is standing in front of the Millennium Falcon, saying goodbye to Rey after giving her guidance on the Force, where they hug and begin to cry, as this may or may not be the last time they see each other, as Leia tells Rey that she must find her contact Lando Calrissian, and that he is on the world of Pasaana. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, I know that JJ and Kathleen Kennedy mentioned that there's going to be no CGI Leia at all whatsoever. However, they were actually referring to rebuilding Leia from the ground up, literally creating her from nothing is what they meant. So in this particular scenario, they have a sequence in which they are using de-aging technology. By far, one of the biggest types of technology that they use in the Marvel movies and other movies out there alike. And now it's going to be a part of Star Wars, which honestly is going to be very exciting because it's actually said that Disney is using this revolutionary technology that de-ages characters that can really make them look just as they did 30 plus years ago. So this particular scene is said to have a de-aged Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher using the unused footage of Carrie from The Last Jedi and placing her head onto a new body that's going to be done by a younger actress, fighting Mark Hamill as young Luke, where they are said to be on a strange world. We're still not quite sure where it is, but this scene is said to be no later than a couple of months after the events of Return of the Jedi and sometime before the Battle of Jakku. Just in case you guys did not know, the Battle of Jakku took place roughly 1 year after the Battle of Endor and was considered the official end of the Empire. So, moving on forward, this is said to lead to a moment where Rey and Luke are battling, they're dueling with their lightsabers, green and blue, where eventually Leia sits down and is said to be appearing very exhausted, and she unveils that she is pregnant with a child, that of course being Ben Solo. Now this is where Luke begins to tell Rey a lesson about the Jedi and the Force and how the Force is always going to be with her. Very inspiring stuff, right? Where he hugs her, and it leads to another scene where we have a older Leia now hugging Rey, in front of the Millennium Falcon, saying goodbye to her, and how she must find Lando Calrissian and that he's on the world of Pasaana. So, this makes a lot of sense as to why Lando is actually on the desert world of Pasaana. It also makes a lot of sense as to why Billy D. Williams shot scenes over in Jordan many months ago. Does make a lot of sense how the scenes are starting to add up now, where you have Lando Calrissian as this contact of Leia's over on the world of Pasaana, which by the way is said to have a lot of Sith connections and origins that Rey and crew are going to discover. That's going to actually be a big part of the plot of Episode 9, so look forward to that. And the other thing about Episode 9 is that this movie really is going to be very emotional as an adventure between Rey, Poe, and Finn in the beginning, where they eventually part their ways. So, at the very least, we are getting an adventure with these three characters, where they're eventually going to leave Leia behind, and it really makes one wonder what's going to happen to Leia in this movie. Is she going to die? Is she going to live on and have a great life? And that'll be maybe expanded in comics or books, whatever have you. But the last thing I just want to touch on here is that the Millennium Falcon is actually said to be a major part of one of the revelations in The Rise of Skywalker, so that's another thing to wonder about. And, like I say, Eunice Watama said that there's a lot of revelations in this film to be expected. So, anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.